Happy New Year, everyone. 2025. And the Return of the Bloody Point. So, this video is
Workshop online. Combat protocols
going to be somewhat less positive than or constructive than most of my videos. This was my introduction to 2025, a match against a Scipius player where the game became bugged, and very obviously bugged, and I ended up losing a match which I otherwise should have won, which is an extremely unpleasant experience, especially given it was against Scipi, which is a difficult matchup for Augencore. And I think in this particular case it was a heroic defense and would have been quite a victory if the match had played out as it should have. So I reached out to this player, Nas Gaming YGG, after the match to get their side of things and set the record straight, but they didn't respond. So I'm just going to assume that what we see on the screen accurately depicts what happened, and I will let you guys make that determination for yourselves. This is the first time that I have been involved in a match where Scipi is the paragon and the game gets bugged, though I've read many complaints in Discord and stories about it happening, including people's feelings that it's being done intentionally in some cases. I haven't seen it from the Scipi player's side, through a VOD and whatnot, so I don't really know what it looks like. But just based on the context in this one example, I can see how that certainly can be the case, that it's being done intentionally once it's clear that the Scipi opponent is going to win. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. It's a long video, but as I said, I've played many Scipi matches. I managed to win more than half of them, and quite happy with that, given that it's somewhat OP at the moment. But this match, kind of like my last games of 2024 and first games of 2025, this was the experience I had, and it was honestly probably my worst parallel experience in my 4 months of playing. Not even a doubt. It was just terrible. The feeling of losing is one thing. I don't mind losing. I played competitive sports for 2 decades, and losing is just normal. But losing when you should have won, especially when something happened which should not have happened, is extremely disappointing, frustrating, and just frankly made me very angry. But yeah, so you'll see what happened here. You can see the game so far. Typical Scipi trying to get a wide field to deploy the kill box. I was fortunate that the kill box wasn't deployed on this turn, but had a nice wide field. But I did have a way of defending against that. So my first real defense, I guess we could say, in this match is with the fragmented plating. Most of these units are 1 health, and that is the Scipi deck's weakness, which can be taken advantage of through amperage or fragmented plating or a couple other things, which you'll see later. But yeah, so I have high-end help, which I could have deployed, and I also have fragmented plating. Both of those are good cards to use against the 1 attack units, so that even if they do play kill box, it doesn't matter how much attack those cards have. If they only have 1 health, they can be taken out on your turn in this method using fragmented, or taken out on their turn using high-end help, which does 1 damage while defending attacks to the card before the card's attack damage is applied to you. I've posted a video in the past where I've done that, and it's one of the ways I'm able to successfully defeat the Scipi meta deck. So in this particular case, I chose to go with fragmented simply because of the number of 1-cost cards, and wanting to save this for the future. I'm thinking I might need the defender for a kill switch or upcycled. I have 2 options for defense in my deck right now, with hard linked pilot and the high-end help. So even though playing against Scipi is always a case of they can pretty much OTK you at any point, I at least have some tools to defend against that. Now, I don't know if they knew that I had fragmented on. One thing I notice as an Augencore players, people don't look at the upgrades. It most obviously is when they attack a card that has kill switch that they didn't need to. Maybe they don't know you can. I don't know. But this was a good result here. Best I could have hoped for, really. Only 2 cards left. So kill switch now is of no real danger to me at this point. Okay, so they had 2 cards left. They play Triumph. This could have been a problem, but really wasn't too much. So I was still in the game. So Scipi is, you know, pretty much everybody I've seen in the community. You see it a lot on X and in Discord and on streams. People are anticipating a nerf of some kind. There are definitely some issues with it. Probably the relic cost might be approached or some other method. As with a lot of the issues, the balance issues that I've seen, is it's not necessarily a single card or a single ability that's the problem. It's the context, you know, in combination with the Paragon it's used with, which causes the problem. And in this case, of course, it's kill box in combination with the relic. Okay, so here I have again potential problem with a wide field and kill box most likely in their hand, but I have a solution here. Always keep anti-organic pulse handy, either in your hand or in your bank when you're facing Cathari, especially Scipi. And fortunately, deploying it or putting it onto Hardlink gives it defender, so they have no choice but to trigger it. And this works whether they've played the kill box yet or not. Once they attack, doesn't matter how much attack or health that unit has, the rest of the cards will not be able to attack. So this deck, I've posted it, you know, online in the previous Scipi video, and I believe the list and the deck code in Discord. And you know, it's not a meta deck. None of my decks are, but it does have the tools that if you get the right draws and you play properly and you're lucky, you can handle the meta Scipi deck. So as you can see, there's the pulse. Now, which is often the case with the opponents I play as Augencore, they're card light, right? They have 1 card in their hand, and I've got 4. I've got my token coming, so I'm in really good shape. Just from like the way things look, I'm feeling I'm gonna win this game. So, which would be nice. This, I think, I was trying to get my 5 wins, you know, on the night of the 31st. It was after midnight at this point, and I had played this player previously, the match just before this, and got kill boxed and lost. So I was obviously, I mean, you don't have to be a genius. Pretty much the Scipi meta is pretty clear. But I was hoping to approach it in a different way in this case. So one of those things I was doing differently is, you'll notice I put the nanobot, I didn't bank it, which normally I do. I put it on the field to be used to buff another card. And the thing I want to do here is, you can see I have an armed 4/4 and a defender 4/5. And I'm not going to know ahead of time which I'm going to need. Am I going to need a 6 health defender or a 5 health attacker, or, you know, something else? So I'm keeping it in reserve because I have a defender on the field. It's pretty safe. You know, this nanobot play is something that I often do on turn 1, and it's always risky because if you're playing Shroud especially, it just gets wasted. But if not, it allows you to play the security officer on 2/2, and then you activate the nanobot, and you've got a 4/4 shielded security officer on turn 2, which is great, but it's risky. So yeah, that's the purpose of doing that in this case. It's just like I'm planning to use it, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it yet, but it's out there. So again, I'm looking decent shape here. And I have removal in my hand as well. I also have the card that can accelerate the counter on the Juggernaut Workshop. So looking good. They've got no cards. So here's where you can see the choice of having the nanobot comes into play. The card they have, which escapes me, allows them to buff cards when cards are played. If they had have gone up to 7/6, I would be without an option to destroy it. But because they stopped at 6/5, I can put my nanobot on the arm card, and now I can take that dangerous card out of play with no loss of units myself. And then I have armed in my deck, which I can use as well. And I have enough energy to delete a 2-cost card. So the approach that I take with Scipi in general is just very aggressive, clearing their fields and maintaining some kind of awareness of when the kill box is coming and trying to set something up to deal with it, whether it's to, remove the low hit point cards before they do it or to defend against it afterwards. And you saw that earlier with the pulse, also with the fragmented plating. So here we're just trying to slow the production of additional cards. And again, we have a defender, so like we're in zero risk here. There's nothing that the opponent can play, even though I only have 14 health. It's gonna end me. You can see they have 10 cards in their hand, 14 in their waist. 1 card in their... Sorry, 1 card in their hand, 10 in their bank, 14 in their waist. Okay, so this is where things start to get a little weird. So the muster from the Paragon. So this Paragon will play all the musters played in the match with targets chosen randomly. So 1 2 damage muster goes to myself. Or I guess it was a 1. Those are the gunslingers. And that's it. So like the muster, again, no danger. They helpfully reduced one of his cards to 1 health, which my high-end help is going to handle. So again, now here you can see visually there's a problem. They had 1 card in their hand, they banked 1, and suddenly they're able to play another card from where, and then you have that ghost card off on the left. So that's where I noticed something was up. But I mean, I don't have a choice. I have to keep playing. I know about the Scipi-bug. I've never seen it, so I don't know how it presents, but I'm pretty sure that this is what's happening. But I've heard that the matches become bugged and unplayable, but I'm still able to play. So I'm hoping here that I can keep going. I have Sesmir in my hand, which is excellent. It's another defender. And not only that, but as it's attacked, and I can choose who defend with, so I can customize it based on the attacks. I'm going to be generating more cards, which I can use for trades. So again, like in my mind, I'm winning this match, and I'm pretty happy about it, I have to say, because Scipi is difficult to deal with. But here's the first sign that, aside from the card from the hand weirdness, the first sign that I might not be able to play is that I cannot attack that card. I can still attack the enemy, so okay, maybe it's the card, the opponent card that's bugged. It might not be critically bugged. The game could still be playable. I don't know yet at this point. Okay, so they have apparently 2 cards in their hand. Don't know how that happened, but they do. 16 in the waist. Alright. 1 card in their hand. They bank a card, so they should have 0 cards in their hand. But visually there appear to be 2. The one on the left I think is a ghost. Okay, so there's that sound. I have no idea what that means. The card didn't leave the hand, so I don't think it was from something being played. Really. Okay, now we have a card coming from the waist. I tried to see if there was something which would allow the Cathari to play cards from the waist. I couldn't find it, and it would, I would think, require a card to be played, and there was no card played. You didn't see a card leaving the hand. So this is very hinky at this point. And now we have a wide field. And okay, we're going to have to deal with the kill box again, no doubts, even though I don't know where it's being played from. Now they're dealt a card, even though they didn't bank a card. I don't see how, because they didn't have cards in their hand, so really not sure what's happening here. Alright, so now I have to figure out, knowing that I'm probably not going to be able to attack some of these cards, I have to figure out how to manage this. My goal is to get as many of these non-1 health cards off the field, or reduce some to 1 health if I can. There aren't that many, so it should be doable. But like which cards I attack and which I do that with. Okay, so he was able to attack that time. Okay, I get a great draw here, because this is going to damage the adjacent unit, which is going to spawn a card. So that's great. Alright, and we're gonna need a decision here. I have another Juggernaut token coming. So, enough cards for lethal, except if it weren't for the defenders. Lethal, I mean from the opponent, if a kill box is played. I'm gonna be conservative and remove another card just to be sure, even though I have plenty of defense, shouldn't need it. Alright. Stop right there. So again, in good shape. This should be a win, right? Looks like one. But now things start to get even weirder. So I haven't seen any other matches that are Scipi-bugged, which I've heard people talk about. I'm gonna be looking for some to compare to this and see if it's the same kind of behavior, and I really want to see one from the opponent side. If anybody happens to know of VODs or videos with that, please do post it in the comments. I will take a look at it. Okay, as anticipated, there's the kill box. Now, as you can see, there are only 2 non-1 health cards, and I have enough defense to deal with that. The others would be killed on my high end. So we're going to go with the Sesame first, which is really interesting because that gets me an 11 health vehicle, and it happens to be a defender. And not only that, it's one that can heal itself. So like, this is a guaranteed win. What should be happening right now, in my mind, is any decent player who finds themselves, if they didn't do this intentionally, in a bugged match and realizing that the opponent has a winning hand, they should concede. That's what should happen. And the fact that that's not what happened is part of what made me so angry, especially for a player from YGG. I would expect better from someone from that group. But, of course, you know, a group is made of individuals, and you can't necessarily judge the group by the individuals, but it is clearly not cool to be taking advantage of a bug match like this. I don't know, you can make an argument, maybe they don't know it's bugged, but I mean, where's this attack coming from? Really? Like, space? I have absolutely no idea. And now, of course, because I can't see what's attacking, I don't know what the health is like, so choosing who to defend with is difficult. And then the attacks just keep coming but stopping. Like, what the hell is happening? So this is bad, but I still have enough on the field to clear his field. So I'm thinking, look, I can still win. But at this point, I mean, am I wrong? This person is doing something they shouldn't be doing, right? I would really love to know what the opinion is on that, because it really, if I found myself in this position, in a bugged match where the opponent was clearly going to win, now I can't attack anything. As you can see, my 5 armed would take out the defender. Everything else is cleaned easily. They have almost no cards in their deck. I'm sitting pretty. This is a win. But unfortunately, the match is bugged, so I can't. So yeah, disappointing. This was like my introduction to 2025 in parallel.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Worst moment ever. And I think the main part of it is just as I'm going on here, I'm realizing that this match is bugged, and the other person knows it's bugged. They may have intentionally made it bugged when they saw they weren't going to win, and they're not conceding. They're not, no response in Discord. They're just happy to take the win and take advantage of whatever the hell this is.
We're gonna need a decision.
So yeah, not the best way to start 2025. I feel much worse now for the people who've been complaining in Discord this past month or so about these issues, because now I know what it feels like. And what made it worse was I took this loss instead of a win, and it dropped me down from diamond to platinum, which was really rough. This extra 10k prime reward based on ranking. I'm trying to grind out some ranks at the end, and I'm running BS like this. Just terrible. So hopefully they figure this issue out very soon. Whether they make balance changes or nerf Scipi or not, I honestly couldn't care less, but the bug has to be fixed. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Happy New Year.